The Grade Cricketer is a Twitter stream. It's about playing cricket at the grade level.
Boys!
Get a few today, did you?
To be honest with you, I hate grade cricket.
I went into to play for a team called, the name escaped me.
Obviously, sharing's always a big issue for young kids coming into a senior cricket team.
Take it was like a wet sleeve.
A bit of advice to the player. That's what I want.
I refer to the great cricketer here and I'll say, this will do a little bit early.
Hello and welcome, as always, to the Great Cricketer Podcast. There's not much happening, or is there? No, there's not, but we can get through this, Pezzy lad. We're going to go all the way through it. The big showdown, which has sort of been resolved in the last 24 hours between the ECB, the IPL, the BCCI. Much to dissect there. England have announced their test squad for the New Zealand series at Lords and Edgbaston there. Darren Stevens in the runs and the wickets. Get him a test cap. Get him something. Izzy Westbury's on the show to talk about the pay dispute between the BCCI and the women's team. Not much of a dispute as it is just not paying them. We've also got Ashes dates finally for the men's and the women's Ashes this summer in Australia. Afghanistan also get a test down there in Hobart. The bowlers made a statement about sandpaper. Finally, we heard from them. Thank God. Thank God. And of course, James Vince is on the show, as promised 14 days ago. Yes, we asked about AJ Ty. Yes, we asked about reverse swing. All these things happened. This episode is, as ever, brought to you by Budgie Smuggler, where you can use the code CHAMP for free custom design. What? Free custom design. Manscaped's also back, baby. That's all on this show before hashtag AskTGC, which one reviewer said is a bit lame. My name is Ian Higgins. I'm joined by Sam Perry. Pezzy lad, hello.
Hello.
Now, Pez, I know you've caught this because it's in the agenda and it's right in front of you. And it's not even a new plot of land in Melbourne's west, in Rockwood. But about a year, is it a year ago? A year ago, there's like new streets being put together. Some new streets have been put together. That's the difference from New Streets album, which is yet to be released.
And there's about that time last year too.
And there's some interesting names. Tendulkar Drive, Kohli Crescent. Also in that same like triangular loop, I'm not sure if you've Google mapped this, there's also Inzamam Street. Which can be very slow this time of year with heavy traffic. So this is just all part of it, isn't it, Pez? This is all part of your grand design for the Asian century.
Well, I did. Yeah, we picked this up on the nation's broadcaster, the ABC, this week. Now, it was an item from last year, but I'm backing the ABC here because I think it's a relevant conversation to have. Not really, but let's have it anyway. Melbourne suburb of Rockwell in the west. So
Rockwell, did I?
Yeah,
What
that's
I say,
all right.
Rockwell?
Well, you don't know the west yet. That's okay. In fact, I played cricket with a guy who was a very successful real estate agent North Shore of Sydney. And he used to call those who lived in the west squinters because when they drove home in the evening, they just squint into the sun. Very, very classist. I live in the west, so I can say that.
You can say that.
I can say that about my own.
Yes. What does it say about me that I laughed at that then? I was involuntary.
I'll leave that to the audience. But
cheers.
there's a man called Mr. Sharma, I think, who's responsible for this plot of land. And
Mr.
he said,
R. Sharma?
I don't know, but he said as soon as they announced the street names after cricketers, the inquiries doubled.
Right, okay.
Who would not like to live on Kohli Crescent?
Yeah.
He said, you never know. You know, this is in the past. Virat Kohli might drive by the street when he's in Melbourne this December. I'm not sure if he would have been allowed to do that with COVID.
Yeah, of course.
I just figure with those streets, it's a bit of a missed opportunity.
Oh,
if you're going to name it after cricketers.
Yeah.
Now, what would it look like if it was in grade terms?
Perfect.
Century Circuit.
Oh, yes.
Alpha Parade. Mm-hmm. Get off the square. And it was interesting among the name of streets, he goes.
Yeah. Get off the square.
They had all these wonderful cricketers, you know. Inzamam, Javed Mende, Imran Khan, War, Ambrose, etc. And then Dion Nash Street.
Yeah, Nash Street.
And I could just imagine the chat around the boardroom, no doubt it was a boardroom, coming up with street names. Let's make sure every country is represented.
Of course.
They come to New Zealand. Okay, so Richard Hadley, it's got Hadley Street. And I'm thinking either Crow, Vittori, Fleming, McCullum, or Dion Nash.
Yeah.
Unless they meant Don Nash.
Yeah.
The Fairfield Liverpool quick, and sometime New South Wales quick,
that's right.
and for about 6 months the fastest bowler in Australia.
Yeah.
In the late 90s.
What about a Zimbabwe representation? Heath Street.
There's a Queensland opening batsman, Bryce Street.
Yeah. Fuck, that is niche. That's a niche reference, Bryce Street.
Anyway.
In terms of like famous roads, streets in the world.
Heath Street. Nothing better than rhyming slang that's just off.
Just slightly off. Yeah, it doesn't quite work, but sort of does.
What heath does he live in?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So like just famous streets, Fifth Avenue, Rodeo Drive, Champs-Élysées, one of our favourites, obviously. Bourbon Street, Abbey Road, Tendorka Crescent? Don't know if it has the same ring to it. I see what they're going for, but, property through the roof. So job done.
Double the inquiries. I want to live on Kohli Avenue.
There was another one, Pez, this week from Ryan.
You'd be disappointed getting Nash, wouldn't you?
You would be. You have to buy into the
Good
big
player.
sellers. Yeah.
No disrespect.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate.
Another one during the week, Zimbabwe player Ryan Burl. He got a new sponsorship just by posting some stuff about his shoes on Twitter, and Puma's jumped in and think, "You beauty, here we go." It's nice. That's a nice story, I suppose.
It was nice, yeah.
He's got holes in his New Balance shoes or something.
It was an evocative picture. I don't know if people missed it. It was a Insta post or a picture of broken boots, you know. And a broken boot is a good little signal that you are a bit of a pro player because you have to play a fair bit for your boot to break.
He had several pairs of shoes as well. So, it's not like he was struggling.
Well, I do think Zimbabwean cricketers might be.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, for pros. But he also, the best thing he did was he laid out the picture with bits of glue, some tools, some heavy-duty tools.
Some heavy kit.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the workbench there.
Yeah. He'd spend a bit of time on the workbench.
Yeah, a bit of workbench stuff, Ryan, eh? Hey?
And but yeah, he laid out that picture with glue and tools.
Yeah.
Put out the post to Puma, who to anybody. And then
To
Puma
anybody,
came and
and
said, we got you
Puma
covered.
jumped in, yeah.
Got you covered,
Fair play to him.
Champs-Élysées.
Fair play to him.
Yuvraj got on board. Puma's always looking after their guys.
Mate, in terms of like international cricketers who don't get paid that much, I don't know if you saw this about a week ago, 2 weeks ago maybe, Sri Lanka put out their new contract list of what they're earning. And the big one was like Angelo Matthews. He's obviously like one of the world's best players. Yeah. He's in the top 100. he's one of the world's best players. He got a 50K pay cut. And I think he's only on something like 100 grand, something like that. Now, 100 grand is nothing to sneeze at, don't get me wrong. But for a professional athlete in this day and age, it's amazing. And there's guys on the central contract list for Sri Lanka who are getting paid like 15, 20 grand. There are guys in first grade who get paid more than that. It's unbelievable. Now, I know that money isn't everything in the it's also hard to scale because I'm not sure how far that even goes in certain parts of the world, but it's just remarkable that. But it's also another thing to that point of I never understand why, for some reason there's benefactors in a club who just pump in tens of thousands of dollars of cash. Where's the return on investment on that? Why are you paying a first grader 20 grand to come and play for you so you win a flag for your club that no one cares about?
People put a lot of cachet into walking around the streets of their town with a flag to their name. That means something.
Yeah.
One of the funniest things that happened that I saw a few weeks ago, a few months ago. I did an end of season presentation gig.
Yeah.
I was emceeing.
Yeah.
It was a very proud club.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. They were good people, and you could tell the way they honoured volunteers and the people in their club, not just the players, was indicative of a club that was successful. And in fact, I think they'd won a couple of comps or flags, as they call them.
Yeah. But they must be doing that sarcastically.
What do you mean? Oh, thanking volunteers.
Thanking volunteers.
Yeah, they weren't in Premier Cricket. And it's funny how these other clubs, they just simply earnestly respect other people within
I don't trust that.
Yeah, no, I didn't either.
No.
A lot of the jokes about it fell flat. I didn't understand.
Yeah.
Why are you guys clapping these volunteers? Yeah. No, and they had one player at the club who was the gun. And he was,
right.
And I'd seen footage of him actually in the research leading into it. And he was very quick. It's very slippery. And they play on Astro. So I gave it to
Jesus, one of those guys.
Yeah, that joke fell flat as well.
Yeah,
Fucking Astro, mate. Seriously.
Yeah.
But no, he was a really good fella. And in the final, he'd struggled and bowled a couple of, I think he bowled 13 wides or something.
Oh,
he yipped up.
Yeah, right.
Still got a wicket at the end of that over. And then they got called off for rain. It was very slippery. And they sort of gave it to him the next day or whatever. And he came out and took 4 for 12 and won the comp.
Right.
But So he was being honoured throughout the night, and like I think that at the end of the night, the president like made this really earnest like set of comments about him and what he delivered to the club and how much he put into the club. Someone just yelled out, "Fucking hell, we bought him a house." Which I don't think was like quite true, but it was just funny, you know. Underneath a lot of those wonderful players at clubs, it's like, oh, there's some coin.
Yeah, a bit of coin there.
There's some coin. It was all true. He got some coin and a good fella.
And especially down here, right? I'm talking about in Victoria.
Yeah.
There's like heaps of like splintered, fractured competitions where like people are getting paid left, right, centre. Anyway, it's just amazing. I saw those numbers with South African.
Yeah, he could have looked at this and gone, "I get paid more than Mbuldinya."
Isn't Adapato's playing great cricket? He was playing cricket down here.
Right.
Great cricket. It's probably getting a bit of coin there as well.
Probably.
Good luck to him. All right, Pez, let's get into it. Now, the story has been sort of resolved, but there was like this showdown. Like there's this whole thing about when are they going to play the IPL?
Yeah.
How does that fit into the existing calendar now that it's obviously...
How good scheduling chat?
Oh, mate.
Fucking,
Yeah,
I
but-
am erect.
Yeah.
Getting ready to talk about this.
Mate, I'm fucking actually excited to watch a fucking game of cricket in a second because
danger of a
any
game.
danger of a game.
I'll watch that European shit that comes up on Facebook sometimes at this point.
Yeah, I'm watching Pavel training videos in the snow where he's lifting fucking logs of wood. I don't know how it's going to work on his cover drive, but still, good luck to him. Nice guy.
Looks really good too.
He's looking good though, to be
if
fair.
you're
to him.
listening, Pavel, hello.
Probably
I mean
is.
a hello.
In the Roy and HG sense, hello boys.
Indeed.
Okay. So then there was like, so what do we got here? We got the 100. We've got World Test Championship. We've got a series between England and New Zealand coming up. We've got England and India later in the summer. We've got the IPL to be finished. We've
going on,
and we've got the T20 World Cup. That's all going to be fit in before October, and it's all just going to be log jammed. Now, you were saying during our live stream on YouTube on Sunday night, Pez, the Sunday lock-in, that they were hypothesizing a 4-test series instead of 5 tests. They wanted to start the series a week earlier, and they were going to finish it a week earlier as well to fit in the IPL. Now, you're telling me this morning that things have changed.
Yeah, the Times of India, a couple of other outlets are reporting that. Yeah, to background what you were saying, BCCI apparently informally approached the ECB and said, "Listen, can we make it a 4-test series? Make sure the guys are available for the IPL, World Test Championship, and stuff." And then the pushback was like, "Well, if we do that, if we bring everything forward, now that impacts 100 broadcast deals are in place. 100 is pretty much the life and times and sun and moon and stars of England, and all the players are meant to be available for the first couple of games. Would have fucked everything." So the question was, how big are the BCCI's dad dicks?
That's right, yeah.
That's pretty much what was going on.
And didn't the ECB say, yeah, we'll do that if you played in England?
There was a bit of quid pro quo, apparently.
Yeah. And then apparently some counties were volunteering their grounds for that.
Were they? Okay, right.
Yeah.
But overnight, it seems to have emerged that, this is according to the Times of India, no chance of the ECB acceding to BCCI's request of shifting the dates. Since they've made their standpoint clear informally, I don't think there's any point of making a formal request. So it was all about were the BCCI going to make a formal request. Right. So what we're talking about is, back channeling, a little bit of informal diplomacy and stuff. And the ECB, surprisingly, they've asked the BCCI to cool their jets, and cool their jets they have. Jets have been cooled, which you don't see often from the BCCI. Do you trust it?
Is this
actually
official?
Giles going to go missing?
Is this official? Is actually Giles going to go missing?
Got to hand it to
Where's
the BCCI
Rahane?
for this act of generosity.
Yeah.
Oh, apparently it's just they're going to play 5 tests and they're going to work out the IPL. I don't know.
Now, I was thinking beforehand, because there's a gap at the moment where only the county championship is being played, and I think Sri Lanka and another team are playing some stuff or whatever.
Some tallest dwarf stuff.
Right, exactly. Speaking of, disrespecting their cricketers.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like there's this gap right now. Would it have been possible to shift into the UAE and finish the IPL now? Would that have been possible? Or was it too much? Was that too much too soon? Because all the players had to get home, but did they have to get home? I suppose the bubbles were breached.
Bubbles are breached. So even the players
are
breached, and now it's like you're going to take that over the UAE. I don't know. I think people just want to get rid.
Get rid.
Away.
A lot of that
stuff.
stuff's
Like a corner coming in. Away.
Yeah. Oh, okay. It's going to fucking nod in my own net.
Glad someone instructed me to get it away.
Yeah, exactly. It's like when someone yells at catch.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Now I know what to do.
Fuck, I was just standing still.
Down. Oh, okay. Thank you for instructing me what part of my body needs to project towards the floor.
There's 2 tweets there.
Yeah, exactly.
See them later.
Yeah, 17 retweets. Yeah. No, but like in Premier League chat when like clubs are preparing to make a bid. What does that mean? What are they doing? What do you mean they're preparing? They're gonna fucking like send the fax out, do they?
Yeah.
That turns things like this sort of back channeling gear.
Yeah.
It sounds a little bit like.
I think the BCCI might have floated it. Like floated it in the press. Oh, we're thinking about doing this. What do you think, England? And then they got their back channel response.
But the BCCI need to float anything? Can't they just tell us what's happening?
That's sort of what we presume happens these days,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Dada, daddy, just tell us what's going on and
Yeah.
we'll do it.
Exactly.
Well, obviously not. They've said, the ACB have said no. 5-test series. We talked on Sunday live stream. There's all sorts of people who've already bought their tickets to these test matches.
Right. Yeah.
Darren from Solihull,
Yeah,
for example,
yeah.
with his
Of
family.
course, that's right, yeah.
He's already
Farmer.
got his tickets. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a farmer.
What's
He's
his kid's name
emigrated.
again?
His name were Solly, Dolly, and Daryl. Neil.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. He was looking forward to the cricket.
Yeah.
He was going to day 2 and 3.
Was Solly after Solihull? No, it was after an old lover called Soleil.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so guys like Darren, he would have been inconvenienced by that.
He would have been convinced by
And
that.
so the ECB stood up for him,
Yep.
and the series with the 5-test blockbuster series will remain, and some shit will happen with the IPL. Cheers for tuning in.
How scared of the ECB that like this could affect the 100? Because the 100 is everything.
100 is everything.
The 100 is everything.
The nucleus
Exactly.
of England cricket.
And I maintain it's going to bang, but it needs the opportunity to bang. So, I mean, but the IPL is the existing project, which is like 75% of all income in world cricket.
Oh, so you're questioning whether this is still official, whether it's over?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
They still need to find a window.
Some,
There's 32 games to play in the IPL.
yeah, I think a lot of the unofficial BCCI spokespeople are coming out and saying, listen, it's not going to happen. So
Yeah.
I think it is kibosh. I think the idea is kibosh. I don't know how they're going to finish the IPL. I'm sure they'll find a way.
I still have this lens, Pez. Now, we've said before that, like, up until this year, I've never watched the IPL, never cared for it. And so I still have this Australian lens of the IPL being like, no one cares about this, it's shit. And it's sort of maddening for, like, the entire cricket infrastructure to halt and bend at the knee of the nation's domestic T20 league.
Yeah.
And then you watch it for the first time, you're fully engrossed in it, and you're like, oh, no, this is actually the best. It is actually really, really good. And of course, the reason why I've never watched it is because the games are on at horrendous, like couldn't be worse times in Australia. Whereas obviously in the UK, there are much more friendly times to watch it. And in fact, there's a funny scheduling thing happening with the women are playing the test match against India. They're playing it in Perth, and it's a day-night test match. It doesn't make any sense for Australian audiences, but that doesn't matter because it's all about Indian revenue. So I get all that. But I still have this lens of like why are we bending the knee to India? And it's because the league's shit, but it's not shit. It's actually good. Do you know what I mean? So there'll be people listening to this who will never have watched the IPL in Australia, and they might feel the same way that I have thought about this in the past.
Yeah. Well, that's what the BCCI want you to think.
That's
obviously.
true.
I mean, we're going to talk about the England squad for the New Zealand series and their general approach to their cricket and their teams, and it can't be divorced from the IPL as well.
Yeah.
It's definitely taking more and more precedence in the ecosystem of world cricket. I think the relevance and the prestige of Test cricket has to be retained, and I think even broadly it still contextualises T20 cricket even into the IPL.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not at club versus country
Not just yet.
but probably will be.
It ain't far away.
Yeah,
I
that's
reckon
right.
So. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just on that, let's talk about the England squad for New Zealand series. They've released their squad. I'm just going to run through the names real quick.
Go.
Root, Anderson, Bracey, Broad, Rory Burns, Zach Crawley, Ben Folkes, Dan Lawrence, Jack Leach, Craig Overton, Ollie Pope, Ollie Robinson, Dom Sibley, Ollie Stone, Mark Wood. 15-man squad there. A couple of absentees, most notably, I suppose, Bairstow, Joss Butler, Moen Ali. I mean,
Wokes.
Yeah, Wokes. They've got a fucking whole heap of
Stokes,
Archer. Yeah, they got a whole heap of guys who were in the IPL, or obviously with Stokes and Archer, they're injured now. And I mean, Archer's, I said this last week, I worry about Jofra. And so does Barney Ronay. Anyway, so you look at this squad and you think, that's a really weak squad when they're playing the number 2 test team in the world. And
Number 1.
Aren't India number 1? I think India are number 1 now. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah. And it's like, I think New Zealand are going to win.
Well,
I think New Zealand are going to win this series.
No doubt. The best element of this test series now comes from Chris Silverwood's comments that we have greatest respect for our opposition. To get to where we want to be against Australia, we have to perform well in these tests.
Yeah.
And we spoke to a friend of the show, Ian Bell, last week, or the week
right.
before, or some shit.
Yes.
And he was mentioning how Andrew Strauss said it was really important that they won their tour games in the lead up to the Ashes. So what I'm understanding from Chris Silverwood's comments, where their entire summer is now actually just to build up to the Ashes, is this is actually just pre-season cricket.
Yeah, it's pre-season.
For England. Like, these are warm-up games. These are tour games. They're affording Australia the ultimate compliment by just scheduling a hard warm-up series in summer against India and New Zealand, the two biggest best sides in the world. It's Ashes preparation summer. That looks like, I think it's a pretty high-risk approach from England to start their tour early of Australia.
Long summer.
I'm not going to write off that they can beat Australia because Australia's got some issues. But this frame, that it's warm-up for Australia and that, the next thing is more important. It's got all the hallmarks of England already making a rod for its own back.
Yep.
High risk.
Yeah.
Lose the Ashes, which is tough to win in Australia. That kind of renders this summer a failure as well. They've sort of framed it that like this is all just preparation.
Yep.
When is cricket ever good at the time, he goes?
Yeah.
It's the next thing that's most important. Like, you look at old cricket history books, and I know you do that regularly.
Yeah. You actually walked in this morning.
You haven't taken a photo of it like other guys have, but you have all the wisdoms from 1875 or some shit. Pants around your ankles. And, you'd go through the history books and you'd see Australia would play a number of tour games before they played England, right? But they were never Australia in those games. They were Australians.
Yeah. yeah.
And I'm thinking that's what this summer is for England as well. It's an England 11 who's playing to warm up for the Ashes.
Yeah, the MCC is playing against New Zealand.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's kind of England to put forward so many regular test players for this game against New Zealand.
It has been good, yeah.
If anyone has an excuse for warming up for a game, it's New Zealand in this, who literally have a bigger
Yeah,
game.
exactly, yeah.
And I'm just wondering if this is what England's actually doing. They understand that New Zealand are treating them as a warm-up. And they're like, well, we can't be cucked on our own home turf.
No.
Oh, no, this is a warm-up for us too.
Yeah.
And same for you, India. This is warm-up.
We're going to play Isengari.
But he goes, New Zealand number 1, number 2, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but also, to be fair, are they? We don't want to say that because England are the warm-up fixture here.
This is their first away series since I think Martin Crowe was captain.
But they're in the finals, so it's like, they're the big dog in this team. Like, are they? Will England's second-string side beat them? Why do I think England's going to win that game? If we just forget all the things around it, why do I think England's going to win? Why do I sense that the World Test Championship arrangement has been confected in such a way that doesn't necessarily throw up the best two sides? I mean, this is me thinking New Zealand are twos, and it's not fair.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But who have you got winning this game? You think New Zealand will win?
Yeah, I think. But then
Jimmy Anderson and
are Anderson and Broad going to play?
One of them will play.
One of them
not
will play.
Both. Yeah, and then they've got it's Mark Wood, Ollie Robinson, Ollie Stone, Craig Overton as a third, and then Jack Leach. Or they might go with 4 quicks.
Yeah,
it's a pretty good. They're softish middle order, but
mate, England have got no bats.
Root can bat.
He's back in the big boys. He's a good player. He is a good cricket player.
A big call.
I really got on a limb there. Mate, the rest of these guys don't average 35. But also, who knows what New Zealand are like away from home?
Well, who knows if Jamo got to bowl with those dukes?
Great point. Or if he's even going to play. Mate, I think it's an interesting one because, in 2005, that Ashes series, like why there was so much hype leading into that from an England perspective. I don't remember there was that much hype going into that series from Australia because we just go over there and we'll win.
We win. And I expected that up until the 4th test.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, when's this winning going to happen?
Yeah, exactly. Even like at the Oval, when there was like a session to go and all the players walked out with sunglasses on, like, we'll probably roll them here.
Because we were just so used to it.
It
was DNA stuff.
Anyway, but the reason why it was so exciting for English people, and I will be speaking for them as well, leading up to that series, because they beat everyone. They beat everyone in leading up to that series, and that was like the zenith. That was their final frontier, if you will, and I know you will, leading into that. So that's why it's so exciting. But in this, I don't know what the fuck they're trying to win. I don't know. I don't know what they're about. I don't know who they're trying to beat. Are they that interested in beating India at home, beating New Zealand? Is it the 100? Is that the thing? They ain't going to win shit in the Ashes. I'm telling you, like that. I'm trying to figure out if they're going to win a game. They haven't won a game here in 12 years. They're going to win one game. I mean, they won't be winning the series. They've got no sticks. They're putting out the second string team, which I sort of understand given there's IPL players. There's also injuries, Jofra, Stokes, etc. I understand that. But there just feels to me as like the second string team against a great test side in New Zealand. What's going on here, guys? I don't understand it.
And I noticed in their press release as well, Wisdom Cricket Podcast pointed this out. Good cast. That and I think it was Mark Butcher speaking really well about it, was saying in the press release, it was explained that Wokes, Bairstow, Butler, etc. wouldn't be available due to their quarantining arrangements following the postponement of the IPL. And he just pointed out, like, no, if the IPL would still be on, they wouldn't be available whichever way. Yeah. Which is what speaks to that point earlier around the IPL and its preeminence over Test cricket.
Exactly.
And really, you know, and they were making this point in the cast, and they're right that, you know, and they reference Ricky Ponting as well, saying this, like, you know, Test matches are self-contained events. They are important in and of themselves. For players, for fans, that regardless of the context around it, and they've tried to build context in the World Test Championship, winning a test match is important in and of itself. The circus comes to town. Each game can throw up its own story, regardless of where a series is or anything like that. And you just get the impression that the way England have framed the series, and Chris Silverwood should not have made those comments, really, about it being about the Ashes. Maybe he's mucked up, but he's revealed what their attitude actually is.
Right,
You know, I don't understand how, and you know, maybe they will go on and win, but the events of what they might do in August, how that might impact that much on what happens at the
Brisbane.
Gabba 4 months later, or whatever it is. You know, how can playing cricket for 5 days or bowling in 2 innings have a net positive or negative effect too much?
Mate, really interesting you say, because remember last year when they played against the West Indies in Pakistan and they left Broad out, and that was the start of what they're trying to build for the Ashes. They're trying to get Wood, Archer, Ollie Stone. They play a bit of Curran as well into the team to try and get the bowling attack right. And only Anderson and Broad, only one of those two play now ever. So it's like you're starting that, like, what, 18 months out?
It's too cute by half.
And they're losing heaps of games in the process.
But let's say they win at the Gabba.
We never lose there.
Or wherever it is. I mean, if Jofra takes a bag or someone takes a bag anywhere, will it be like, really glad he didn't play at Southampton in July? Will it have any effect? Maybe I'm not close enough to the elite environments where these things do matter, but it's as though, like, the energy they exert in those games are going to sort of positively or negatively impact their play. I'm not even sure the players agree with that. You know, just win the test matches, boys.
I can understand from what Ponting was saying about it's such an emotionally draining thing playing long form cricket. I've only played one 3-day game.
Right.
And by the end of it, I was fucking cool. It was a grand final, so like it meant a lot, and you know, all that kind of stuff. But it's a no, and to take 20 wickets in a game, fuck, it takes it out of you. And I think that's part of the theatre of Test cricket, and that, like, you can have these peak moments like Headingley was in 2019, or many other examples throughout the history of Test cricket, even the Gabba. You know how hard it is to win because there's just this roller coaster of emotion. So this confected notion of the World Test Championship does feel a little bit odd, though it is going to knock up a great series against New Zealand and India, hopefully. Oh, sorry, just one test. But yeah, the Test cricket, the context lives within the series in itself, in the game in itself, in the session, especially in England, where it's the best conditions to play cricket, where the ball moves. And
a test match is its own story.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you can have dead rubber test matches in a series that have a wonderful story within it. And to sort of throw that away and go, no, let's create a hierarchy.
Yeah.
I just think it's born with risk, you know, and it sets England up to, and may not even influence their success, their chances of success in the Ashes in summer anyway.
How it will, yeah. Barney made this point last week where he's like, he doesn't really know the team. I'll tell you what's an interesting one for me this summer now. Ollie Pope is in this team. He needs runs because everyone's got massive raps on him. He obviously struggled in India. That can happen. Fuck, there's been some good players who struggled in India, especially against that kind of bowling attack on those kind of wickets. No doubt about that. But he's got one test 100 so far. I think he's already played something in the realm of 15 tests. I think he averages about 30. This is a summer where he's at home. He's going to be playing against good bowlers. This is a chance to him to fucking nail it down, nail his spot in the Ashes and stuff, because he's an exciting player, but he's got to score some runs at some point
against the two best teams. And this is the flip side of the rest and rotate, especially for the bowlers. The idea is that you stay fresh so that you can play with full energy in the Ashes or whatever. But like, what if you're playing against a number one Indian size? Maybe they're fresh off winning the World Test Championship, and you get pasted by Kohli or whatever. You're in bits. What if all of them are in bits? How does that bring your side together for the Ashes?
Yeah, risky, isn't it?
Anyway, that's on-field issues. Australia's ones are more off-field, which is worse.
Australia's issue at the moment is there's no fucking games. Now we'll talk about that in the moment. Now, there's just an exciting one in the sense that this is just an old man doing well. That's really the only story about that. He's 45 and he's just getting runs, getting wickets. He's got Marnus out again. It's only funny because he's old. That's really the only bit. But hey, he's doing well.
Yeah, Darren Stevens. Well, it's it's life affirming, really.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. I mean, Phil Mickelson got his USB.
Yeah,
you could feel the guttural roar from the crowd with Mickelson, and you can kind of feel that through digital screens.
Yeah, that's right.
With Darren Stevens, but man, I miss it's something really life affirming about old blokes succeeding in cricket, especially as or in life generally, I think. But when elite athletes become younger, it's all about sports science. You got rippling muscles, levers, etc. Then you just get this old bloke waddling in, really.
Yeah.
Carrying the creases all across his head of despair, fear, anger that create wisdom.
Yeah. Sunstroke.
Wife leaving him. That's not true. I don't know what Darren Stevens' love life is. I'm just saying generally old blokes in cricket.
And you divorce yourself from those comments.
Exactly. Lots of divorcing going on generally. Well, if you're 45, you're likely to be close to any of that sort of stuff, even if it's just your mates. But and he just comes and Marnus can have access to every single resource available to him in the world, in Australia, hair transplants, spiritual enlightenment.
That's right.
And in comes Darren Stevens just nibbling it about, and you can't beat the nibble of the 45-year-old. It's very funny and very good.
Yeah, he's going to like 65 kilometres an hour, stump to stump.
Exactly.
65 kilometres an hour. Fuck, he's really tossing him up. Jesus Christ. Not even miles. Fuck. That is some slow stuff.
And then he comes in, ring field, stump to stump. I'm just going to muscle him over the top. 190 off 160. Cheers.
Yeah. Mate, isn't the thing about this also a little bit, we're always as fans, as the audience, we're always trying to find the connection between us and them, because these guys are built in a lab for the most point. And I'm just thinking about do you remember when Jeremy Lin had Lin Senedy in the NBA playing for the Knicks at the time, and he just got this hot hand for about a month and a half. He was jacking up threes, was hitting down clutch shots, all this kind of stuff. And it's the thing was he's actually a really bad player. But he's not. He's in the NBA, so he's a fucking worldie. He's top 0.1% of athletes in the world, probably. And
he's saying there's a slight insult.
There's an insult to it, yeah. And it's because when I look at Darren Stevens in the Australian lens, because cricket in the UK and Australia, club cricket, representative cricket is so different because of the nature of the wickets and the nature of the environment that you play the game in. So when we see Darren Stevens just waddling in, stump to stump, and it is a waddle in, with respect.
with respect, he's one of the best players in the championship.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just it's like third grade.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's now I have a connection to, now I'm thinking I could have played in the NBA. If Jeremy Lin's doing that, I could have played county championship. That's the paradigm of this success when you're viewing someone who, the undertone of it is he's actually shit, but he's not. He's a fucking professional cricketer who's played for 25 years.
Skill beating bodies, skill defeating bodies.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. I remember playing against older blokes in grade cricket, and they did make me scared. Yeah. I felt that. Yes, they did make me afraid. Yes, on the field.
Yeah,
you could feel their wisdom. Yeah. They'd use it kind of intangibly against you. But there's not as many old blokes around anymore. But somebody could kind of outsmart you or say something, you're your early 20s or even late teens, and an old bloke is saying something and he's got all sorts of life experience, most of which you don't want to come close to.
Don't want to touch it.
And if he takes you out, don't go and have a beer with him, because it's very bad. It's a bad... you're very impressionable at that time, and that's not a good direction for your life or your masculinity generally.
He'll be the first person to ask you for $700 for Botox injections after the game.
But on the field, great to play with, and hate playing against him. I don't know why I kept thinking about Trevor Bayliss on the field, but I've never played against him. But he's got glasses, saying something really rough about the way they talk. You just don't get that in grade cricket anymore. So all power to Darren Stevens.
I like the idea that like a 19-year-old scared of a 24-year-old in club cricket now.
You look back on the 35, everyone was younger than me then. I don't feel old at all.
No.
I feel like a child in a semi-man's body.
Yeah. Anyway, hell of a player. Good luck to him.
Great player. Well done.
Now, Pez, probably the story of the week has been broken by Izzy Westbury. Give you a little setup here before we speak to Izzy, who's taken the time to speak to us today. Now, a report in Telegraph from Izzy said that India had yet to receive $500K prize money from the board 14 months after the tournament ended. This is the World Cup in March 2020. Obviously held in Australia, the one that Australia won. Now Australia, they were the winners. They were already paid their share of 1.6 million. Apparently a month after the tournament, the semi-finalists England, they got their prize money, which was about 120 grand. I think this is all US. 2 months after the event, and the BCCI are yet to have paid their Indian women's team 14 months afterwards, which is 500k, which is a huge amount of money for anyone. So now, as it's transpired, the players have been paid because off the back, you would suggest, of Izzy's article. However, who are we to talk about this? Shall we get Izzy on the line? Here she is, Izzy Westbury.
We have Izzy Westbury on the show, returning to the show, I want to say for the third time, fourth time. And in anticipation of hearing from Izzy, can I just say, for context, it would appear that she will be interviewing with us from home, where her sister is sleeping next door and has already rapped on the door asking her to keep quiet. So Izzy will be speaking in dulcet sotto voce, I believe is what they say in Latin. Her bio says law enforcement, otherwise scribbling, broadcasting, cricket things, Middlesex skipper once. And now I think she should add single-handedly responsible for ensuring the Indian women's international team gets paid. Izzy, great to have you back on the show.
I'm just worried that I'll never be able to go to India now again. It'll be a bounty. It'll be for $500,000.
I want to get to that. So just for background, for those who are catching up on it, you broke a piece for the UK's Telegraph 3 days ago reporting that India's women cricketers had not been paid the prize money owed to them from the 2020 Women's T20 World Cup, which finished more than 14 months ago. Can I ask, how did you come across this story without giving away your secrets, and tell us what you found once you dug a little deeper?
Did I tell you I work in law enforcement? If I told you, I'd have to,
I see.
No, it was a number of really brave women in India, outside India, players, administrators, journalists who, to be honest, I was just the mouthpiece. I was somebody who, let's say, I don't rely on my future income coming from the BCCI. And that was pretty much the one criteria that needed to be fulfilled. And I was there. Otherwise, everybody else, they've got a lot of stake, and it was pretty brave. So that's how it happened. I'm one of many, many people doing a lot more work than I've been doing behind the scenes for decades to try and, I guess, just rectify the disconnect between what could be in India and what the current status quo is for women's cricket. I think it's really important to say that as well, is that, it's not as though we're just targeting India. I mean, women's cricket around the world, there's a lot of inequality. But I think that the most frustrating people for most frustrating thing for a lot of people is seeing, the riches of the men's IPL, their men, their T20 cricketers, whatever, the way in which it's run, and then seeing the women's team, which could easily be world beaters. And I'll put all my cards on the table. My main motivation is because I'm fed up of seeing the bloody Australians win the whole time. Yes. We need a major opposition here. India's got they're my guys, girls.
So is he like, we saw in the piece that Australia got paid their 1.6 million a month after the tournament. The English girls got their 120k 2 months afterwards. How come it's taken an article? Because we believe the issue has been resolved now. But so why is it taken 14 months for them to get paid? Why is that a thing?
Yeah, why?
I thought you were going to ask me why the English had got paid only so far after the Australians. Well, I think one thing to say is that this is obviously not an isolated incident, and it crosses not just men's and women's, not just women's cricket in India. It sounds as though there's been trouble with the domestic men's game as well. I mean, COVID obviously got in the way. Otherwise, why? I mean, you're asking the wrong person. I've got no bloody idea. It's absolute travesty. And the reason that I guess I got involved or got to know about it from a woman's perspective is because the actual impact on a women's player, like this is, if not the equivalent of these players' entire annual salary, it's very close. And for some of them, it's more. And if you lost your contract, which one of the players has, that's it. That's your income. So I think that's, why? Yeah, you're asking the wrong person.
There's been as you'd probably expect, like a defence mounted in some quarters online, particularly by Boria Majumdar, is that how I say it? Who and I'm going to paraphrase this, but he appears to be claiming that while the payment is late, that this sometimes happens to men too, and it happens with other boards, therefore it's not a gender issue, and the focus on the BCCI is also unfair. Also, the women are playing some test matches, so there is good stuff too. Would that be about a summation?
I think that's a really accurate summation. And I mean, I'm almost speechless. It took every resolve of restraint, and actually a lot of people telling me to shut the hell up, not to just wage war via Twitter and he wanted his debate chat or whatever. He is somebody that obviously needs a lot of oxygen. I think that nobody's saying that this doesn't happen to men as well. Nobody's saying that the scheduling of women's tests is not a bad thing, but the idea that kind of that absolves all wrongdoing that has a much greater impact is just ludicrous, to be honest. And then the other thing is that if suddenly he's sort of exposing all of this wrongdoing and injustice for the men in the Ranji Trophy or wherever in domestic cricket not being paid for 10 years, it's like, where the hell have you been for the last 10 years? It just seems ridiculous. But if this sparks a wider thing of men, domestic men in India, in other countries, getting prize money that's owed, then all the more for it. That's great, frankly.
But I suppose what was telling about it was clearly a keenness to shift the idea away from it being a specific women's issue, and yet the BCCI has been under pressure before over its treatment of the women's team. And I think it's entirely appropriate that one of the biggest administrations, or the biggest administration in the world, is held to a particular standard, or at least is open to scrutiny of it. Can you give us some context on the BCCI's treatment of the women's team for those who aren't aware?
And I think, again, it's important not to say that we're not just going after one cricket board. It's not just the BCCI that there's been mass gender inequality. I think, I'm obviously an English journalist based in England, and I mean, I'm pretty sure the ECB will be the first to say that I'm not their biggest fan. We scrutinise them, we hold them to account, but it just so happened that on the prize money issue, the BCCI are way worse than any board that we know about. I mean, one of the things that I'm most worried about is that in the women's game, we compare England and Australia, and that's all we talk about. So we talk about the relative failings of England versus Australia. Why doesn't England have a WBL? That's been a debate for ages. Whereas actually the BCCI is it's the richest, most powerful cricket board in the world. And again, it goes back to that disconnect. They've got a test match against England coming up in beginning of June. It was announced on Twitter by their secretary before they'd actually told the ECB that this was happening, or confirmed it with them. And obviously it's happening in England. Their women's team, I understand that none of their players have actually played any 4-day cricket for the last 3 years. So that'll be quite interesting when that happens. They didn't play cricket for a whole year. 364 days, in case anyone wants to correct me. It was a year minus a day throughout the pandemic. They had a tour scheduled to England. It was at the same time, I think, as their men's tours and bio bubbles happening, and the IPL was being sort of hoisted to the UAE. The women's tour was cancelled kind of arbitrarily. And I think the really difficult thing for women in sport these days is being able to celebrate the progresses, because yes, India women playing test cricket, yes, them coming to England playing a multi-format series, going to Australia later in the year as well, is a really, really good thing. But it shouldn't sort of mask, I think, a lot of shortcomings in other areas where actually there's a lot more sort of an infrastructure issue. For example, it's great that the women got their prize money for Indian women, but if you're a domestic player, you're relying on match fees and tournament sort of daily handouts. And for the last year, there hasn't been any matches. So suddenly, you've got nothing. So I think, it's a sort of ebbs and flows. It's celebrating the good things, but also making sure that the boards are held to account. And I think it comes from a place of just knowing that this is a team. Well, we've seen it with the men, right? I mean, India's men probably could be, might well be, the leading cricket team in the world for decades to come in all formats. And that's taken a while to get there, but it's because of sort of democratization of cricket through things like the IPL. Oh yeah, that's another thing. There's no women's IPL, despite Sourav Ganguly talking about women's IPL. This is 4 matches.
4 exhibition games.
4 exhibition games squeezed into the knockout rounds of the men's IPL, which is 56 matches. But anyway, it's seeing what they could achieve, by sheer population and the fact that I am so jealous of any person in India who loves cricket, because it's a massive family. It's bizarre. It's a sort of it's this huge entertainment bonanza. We don't have that in England. We even in Australia. I mean, cricket probably is higher up on the sort of scale of sports, but equally, India cricket is just amazing. And I think it's seeing what women's cricket in India could do that you just want to. It's there, but we haven't quite got there, and it's exciting. I mean, this is the one that, like, the best thing about being a woman in sport is it doesn't matter how shit things were at the start. It's pretty much always progress. So yeah, I'm hopefully just quite excited.
I meant to be flippant with how, because obviously the work that you put into this article is huge, Izzy. But am I right in thinking the timeline of this is that you released the article through the Telegraph, then a day and a half later, it's solved. They've paid it. They've paid it out. What?
So this is
this is where I
think you should have wrote it ages ago.
Yeah, exactly. What have I been doing all this time? And actually, I think that there have been a lot of people working behind the scenes, like FICA, the Federation of International Cricket Associations, have been aware of this for a little while. From what I understand, have been trying to reach out. But India, there's no Professional Cricketers Association. So, I mean, we hear a lot in the Australian press about the negotiations between the ACA, the Australian Cricketers Association, and Cricket Australia. That becomes sort of whole press stories for weeks on end. But that doesn't exist in India at a men's or a women's level because they haven't got any representation. India and Pakistan are the only 2 boards not to have one. So, yeah, in terms of the mechanics, I think there was a BCCI official quoted that it takes a while to put everything through the systems. That's why it's been delayed by a few months. Or
just new systems apparently from Microsoft to Apple.
You're like, for one day. It's funny. It's as though everything's like electronic these days or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Can you just give us an insight into criticising the behemoth of the BCCI, even just the last few days? You made the point at the start that you were the right person to do it because your income doesn't seem to be too attached yet to what the BCCI does. I just mean that we're all like that. But I mean, what's the experience been like of reporting something which is just a cold, straight, and clearly very logical, straightforward criticism that's had a resolution of the BCCI and the reaction to it?
I think the most sort of telling thing was just the number of people who you talk to who are just like, please don't quote me. Please don't be on the record. And this applies to players and it applies to journalists as well. And I think that's something that's been quite evident, the journalism side, over the last few years, perhaps with broadcasting especially. We've seen a few sort of examples of broadcasters, saying something mildly critical of a player or the way something's run, and suddenly they're struck off the roster. You just think, oh my God.
Had to get home pretty quick, didn't he?
Yeah, what have you guys said?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, actually. I mean, you've had your own little run-in, from what I understand as well.
What?
No, we didn't. No,
No. Sorry. I'll be careful. You're in cahoots. So be careful.
Great franchise.
Yeah, it's been. I think it's been interesting. But then again, I think, social media in itself, it doesn't need to be just India and cricket, I think, because it's always been a bit of a cesspit. It's part of the fun.
Yeah.
All right, Izzy, thanks so much for joining us. And just echoing what you said as well, I think it's very important to be able to issue a straightforward critique or a criticism, and particularly come from a place of, opportunity and joy and wanting to see the fullness of expression of what is possible on Indian cricket, a place that loves the game more than anywhere else and permits us to share in that as well. So thanks so much for joining us and enlightening us. And we all look forward to reading the comments.
It's a pleasure. Thanks, boys.
Thank you very much to Izzy. Now, Pez, the Ashes dates have been announced. It's the thing that all teams are shooting towards. England,
until the next thing.
England for some reason, and Australia because there are no other games. However, they did get to play one game against Afghanistan, November 27 in Hobart. Nice for Hobart to get a test. And I'm going to say that is going to be an absolute pumping because Australia are going to play a full-strength team because they don't play any test matches. That's going to be their warm-up for the Ashes, full strength against Afghanistan in Hobart. That could be anything, that game.
Yeah, and Tim Payne might be playing in front of his nan.
Yeah, good
very
point.
Well.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, and then the Ashes starts. He goes December 8.
December 8.
At the Gabba, Adelaide pink ball, Melbourne, Sydney as per Perth final match in mid-Jan. Now, I just want to talk about the Gabba. He goes.
We've only lost once in 30 years.
The fortress was breached.
Yeah.
Calling something a fortress in Australia. I'll take it, at Norwich or some shit, but...
Yeah.
A fortress in Australia. We don't talk about fortresses. We don't have castles here.
You got fucking Norwich, the Canaries.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, we need we need to make our home ground a fortress.
Yeah.
Australia doesn't have fucking fortresses.
No, it
got
doesn't
deserts.
make any sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's make this a desert.
It's a fucking desert for these guys.
Yeah.
No water at all. They're going to die. And if you drink water, you're weak, per my coach.
Exactly.
What I like about this here,
what do you like it?
Well, the Gabba's first.
Yeah,
this is the problem.
First. Yeah.
This was and we know England have a chip on their shoulder about the Gabba. They have gallows humour about losing in the first hour or two, etc.
NASA, all that stuff.
All that stuff. Yeah, and they still talk about it. They're still psychologically compromised by it. But the Gabba's first, and that's where it needs to be. It was last in the previous summer. Didn't feel right.
Didn't feel right to me.
What CA have done well, he goes, and you won't hear many people talking about CA doing things well. Well, they've got the feng shui of this series correct.
Got it.
From Australian perspective. The Gabba's first.
Yeah.
Marie Kondo, he goes. So feng shui, by the way, is the practice of arranging the pieces of living spaces in order to create balance with the natural world.
That's right.
You can't have the Gabba anywhere other than first. I want them to see the harsh light.
Yep.
Experience the harsh light. I want them to have to deal with the weirdly teal-coloured seats.
Yeah, so it looks like a full house.
Of cricket in Queensland.
Yeah.
So it looks like a full house and no one's really there in the concrete jungle of that ground.
Yeah.
And I want that ground to be unwelcoming. Mm-hmm. And I want the wicket to be juiced up. Mm-hmm. And I want England to have to make a decision on what they do with the toss, with all of the weight of history.
Yeah.
And I want that to sort of be the way they commence that series.
I like that.
The goal is to harness energy forces and establish harmony between an individual and their environment. Mm-hmm. Well, CA have done that very well, and kudos to them. They've been watching Marie Kondo. So keep only those things that speak to the heart and discard those items that no longer spark joy. Well, that was Gabba last series. Okay,
yes.
So congratulations. I'm happy with the way it's set. Into the day-night game at Adelaide, into Melbourne, into Sydney, and finish off fucking Perth. Okay, if it's on if the series is on a knife edge, okay, let's go and play on some whacker soil then.
Yeah.
See how you go.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they've,
you know what I mean?
They've really got it right because last time, this is what Tim Payne was sort of hinting at. There was a little bit of sideshow stuff. You know, they were sort of...
Which was a compliment.
It was a compliment because they got in their heads. They managed to shift some stuff around. We're not even going to go to the Gabba. We're not even going to go. Then when they got to Brisbane, they were like, hotel shit. Then now we're talking about that. It's distraction, sideshow. It's a compliment that we're talking about that. England, no, we can just still push them around. We'll play the first game on the Gabba.
Give them no tour games, which is why they have to have their tour games this summer in England.
Exactly. And then we'll play Adelaide. Yeah, we'll play that. We'll play that for viewership. There's your chance. Get back in the series. Melbourne and Sydney, it's Christmas, bitch. It's our time to shine. And if it's close, which it won't be, whacker. See you later.
Let's go to the whacker.
See you later. Yeah.
Let's go to the whacker. Joffrey's already injured.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Is that the whacker or is it in Perth?
It's Burstwood. It's the Optus ground, but they use the whacker soil, so it may as well be the whacker. They take the soil, which is what they should do. WA does these things well. Again, harsh light.
Yeah.
Hard to get over there. Got to go over some desert.
Yeah.
You want to win the Ashes? You're going to have to do it at the whacker soiled ground.
Is this the whacker? Soiled ground?
Soiled
yes,
ground.
it is.
Yeah,
yes.
Indeed, yeah.
It is going to be fucking soiled ground.
Yeah.
They'll be shitting themselves.
Yeah, you're holding that line, aren't you?
I don't know. Yeah. I'm looking at the team.
5-0 chest.
Look, I love and respect the English players. They all seem like nice guys. They just ain't going to win shit here. That's all I'm saying.
And is it a chest approach?
Australia
plays chest.
How are they going to lose that series?
Chest match cricket.
Australia can lose a series in the same way that England lost it last time when they're out here, when there was just off-field stuff. There was Bairstow headbutts. There was Duckett pouring beers over Anderson's head or whatever.
What happened before will happen again.
Yeah, but England will do well to spark some controversy off the field, bring up some sandpaper stuff, maybe a bit of stuff with a bit of tension in the air with some Langer and the players. I don't know, just bring some stuff up. That's how you can distract us. That's how you can get the series. It won't be on field.
When Australia bats and Jack Leach goes over mid-on, they just pump him over mid-on a couple of times.
Yeah, he got no spinner.
That's it.
They got no spinner.
It's just so condescending.
Mate, the last couple of series they've brought in just guys to just have a game.
Well, that's what happens. It breaks you.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be tough, to be fair. It's so much nicer going over there. So everything's more friendly. I know the crowd give it to you a bit, but just the environment is just more friendly. Here it's like, oh, fuck, now we got to go to Perth. It's so bright. It's hot.
England need to bring weapons, man. And we know that their weapons are quick guys. And Archer's the weapon. Australia provides weapons that England have to deal with when we go over there. Like they've got things they need to handle. But who are England bringing to Australia? Who are the weapons they're bringing that Australia's going, that's going to be hard?
Well, I think the only way England win is if they they rock us. But then Archer has to have a Warne-esque 05 series, 40-plus wickets, unbelievable. But then I think about who's scoring the runs for England. Who's scoring the runs for England?
If Leach goes over, if they've put him over his head 10 times,
how
many overs does Archer have to bowl? I mean, do you know what I mean? They always talk about overs into the legs, that kind of gear.
Yeah.
Anyway. That's why they're bringing 40,000 pacemen, though.
Yeah, true.
Cool. Well, cool. We just worked out the Ashes.
Hey, good news for the women, though. They're playing 2 tests this summer, India and England.
Yeah, it'd be good.
India in Perth, that's a day-night test match. That is at the Wacker. And then the Ashes one's in Canberra. The Ashes starts January 27th, so it's about 2 weeks after the men's Ashes finishes, which is going to be good. Heaps of games north in the Oval under lights there. Wonderful ground to watch cricket.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be good. That's going to be a good summer.
Yeah.
Hopefully COVID stuff's going well here, which it is not in Melbourne as of today. But it's all relative, I suppose, isn't it?
Yep.
Pez, before we get to...
This is your favourite topic.
Before we get to James Vince, bowlers. The bowlers came out last week and they made a statement about sandpaper, which no one really asked for. But they thought, we'll have a chat here.
No, they had to because they would have just been asked questions forever. And so they can say, please refer to this statement. It's just the comms thing. But they basically made a statement denying a very specific thing that Karen Bancroft wasn't talking about.
So that was essentially just read my last email. Is that what their response is going to be from now on?
All they did was deny they knew exactly about one small bit of sandpaper going out at that particular time.
Right.
But man, this is clown show stuff now. This is into clown show stuff.
Yeah.
People are tired. People are tired.
It's gone away pretty quick.
The bowlers are saying, well, but it's going to go the way. It's just they just completely fucked up how they dealt with it.
Yeah.
Like Cricket Australia and the players.
Yeah.
Essentially the bowlers are saying, we knew about cheating, just not like that. Just not that particular thing.
Yeah, not that bit.
And they've kicked the can down the road a little bit. They don't want to deal with it while their careers are still going, presumably for commercial and reputational reasons.
Understandable.
And, I suppose I can understand why they might have lied at the time about it because everyone was losing it about ball tampering, which is ridiculous. If they confessed to whatever they did at that time in 2018, people would have thought they were fucking Abu Bakr Bashir.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
Jamar Islamia. They were literally they were criminals at the time, which is ridiculous moral panic in the country about it. Absolutely insane. What about if they just had an amnesty now?
Yeah.
Just get everyone out. Amazon series, The Test, number 2.
Yeah.
And just get them all in a room saying some shit.
Here's the problem with the cheating in itself. I don't want to keep talking about this, but it's going to be the story for the next year. The problem is to explain it from their perspective. I'm sure you're like, okay, you guys need to understand. Here are 7 different examples of how every other team had their structure.
Yep.
For doing it. We didn't know that they were going to do that specific thing of bringing a fucking piece of sandpaper onto the field, which everyone accepts was insane. One of the dumbest things you could do. And so that I don't think that was their method. They had some other method. They didn't know that. But now they've come out and they've said that specific bit we didn't know about. But you have to explain, of which no one is going to do, and provide proof and evidence and documentation of how South Africa did it. England does it. India does it. They have to provide all these different ways of how every nation did it. And once you understand that in the psyche of the cricket consuming public, or even beyond that, because it goes beyond the cricket consuming public, I feel like the cricket consuming public understand that it goes on. But this went It went on, yeah. But this goes so much on beyond that now. But they're not going to come out and goes, well, everyone does it. Because then you're trying to say, oh, well, it's okay. But it kind of is okay. And there's like this subtext underneath it of like, you have to understand in the game of cricket, there's like these blurry grey areas of it always happens, or it always used to happen anyway.
It was the lie afterwards as well.
But it was the lie directly afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just so poorly handled in a communications sense.
And the lie was endemic of a general malaise people felt about Australian cricket, which they then confirmed with that lie.
Yeah.
And now the lie means that there's a cover-up of the lie.
Yeah.
And now the truth is emerging over the top of that. And so anyone that tells the truth now is essentially exposing lies that others did. And there's a fucking code of silence, a criminal code of silence, an Italian one, if you will.
And I will.
And you will. And so whatever anyone says now is like he's going to bring someone else's reputation to play, and it's just nothing. They're going to hope to sweep it under the carpet until playing careers are over, and then there's some books to sell. Well, seriously.
But I sort of understand it because if I'm one of the bowlers and I'm like, nah, guys, everyone's got their system to do it. We had our own way, and then they did that. I don't want anything to do with that. I don't want anything to do with that sandpaper coming onto the field because I didn't know about that. So I can understand that. If that was the case, and probably was. And it also explains like the at the time the contempt with which Dave Warner appeared to be held in. There was allegations or rumours, any allegations. There was rumours at the time about him being removed from WhatsApp groups and that kind of stuff. He was, sort of ostracised a bit, and that's all patched up or whatever. But so I can understand the bowlers like wanting to come out because you feel like you have to. But fuck, I don't know. I'm still just I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm just over it.
Yeah, it's all about the morality underneath it now and who lied when.
Yeah.
Like the actual act of the cheating, I think most people don't give a fuck. But with the media, that you can conflate those things a little bit, bring it all together, create heroes, villains, who's the good guy, who's the bad guy.
Yeah.
And there's more of that to play out, sells good papers and stuff. I think the players in CA at the moment are just going to go, let's just not talk about it. And then when careers are over and there's less money to make from the game, we can sell some books and stuff. It sounds really cynical, but it's probably the best way to deal with it. I think the public are tired of it.
Yeah.
But there might be some stories to break, some real AFL style investigations to be done. And you know what? I'm fucking Michael Jackson gif. No, but that's how people are. I think that's how people are relating to it at the moment now, especially overseas as well. Is anyone around Australia sitting down, tearing their hair out or deeply disturbed by the new allegations?
No.
I mean, at the moment, we're just clicking on articles with popcorn going, that's funny. Who's a good bloke?
Yeah.
We know everything in cricket just comes down to like, but what's he like as a bloke?
Like as a bloke?
This show, this episode has now just turned into what's he like as a bloke?
Yeah.
Big Brother. Who's the worst bloke?
I like it.
Actually, yeah, I hope some more news comes out of it.
And then like I say, I'm like, well, if Cam has more information to share,
Oh, indeed.
I won't be asking any questions. But if he wants to come forward,
Hey,
I don't know.
8:30 p.m. Tracy Grimshaw, everyone in a dressing room.
Yeah.
All of them, and players from overseas in their whites, preferably.
Yep.
Or like maybe maybe Jenny Brocky from SBS. They should do an insight panel.
Okay.
And they're all sitting there, and Jenny actually just gets to the bottom of how ball tampering works.
Yeah.
Well, he actually did this. This is where we fucked up. A couple of other players from overseas come and volunteer. An entire amnesty. Get it done. He's a good bloke. He's a terrible bloke. The moral of the story is cricketers can be cunning. And then it's done.
What about an episode of Q&A?
Yeah.
And they have to ask questions. They have to answer questions from the audience. And there's like one 19-year-old art student who's wearing like a beret and a scarf in the middle of summer.
Yeah.
And she says, "Why'd you do this?"
Yeah.
And then they'll say, "Do you watch cricket?" No, I don't.
That's like Ian Botham on the 1986 show opens a question. So just now university students Q&A style trying to cross-examine him.
Yeah.
But just with the players.
Yeah.
And then they're just giving really snarky condescending answers back. Because that's how they feel about the public in cricket anyway.
That's
what you don't understand about ball tampering is this.
Exactly.
All of those things, they'd rate well. They'd maybe make more money generally than any subsequent books.
100%.
Let's get it done. Everyone's worried about the Ds at the moment anyway in footy.
100%.
Let's just get it out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm inclined to ask like what happens next.
Keep talking.
Or goes away, but I don't know.
Mate, Dan Andrews' press conference.
Yeah.
Just keep talking.
Keep talking
till the media's that just keep going. Yep. Then it's over.
Pez, this episode, as ever, is brought to you by Budgie Smuggler. You can get free custom design using the code CHAMP at checkout. Let's talk about some custom gear that you can get. They're talking bucket hats. Budgie Smuggler do face masks. Need more of those bad boys down here in Victoria.
Yeah. The face mask sales are going to go through the roof now.
Yeah.
You have to wear a mask inside, I think. We haven't worked out if that's greater Melbourne or just Melbourne generally.
I'm going out to dinner tonight. I've got to do that when I eat dinner.
Masking up.
Masking up.
Yep.
We're already masking some capacity.
Isn't that the truth?
So, I mean, what are we talking about? Now, we started this episode by talking about Tendulkar, no, was it Kohli Crescent?
Yeah.
Inzamam Street.
Yeah.
About just a street map of that part of, what was it called again?
Rockwell.
Rockwell
For the squinters.
Now, I went out to dinner the other night and I sat next to Sam Rockwell, the Academy Award winner.
Fucking hell of a segue. But it's true, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He reached for my jacket and then he thought it was his jacket and it was my jacket. And then I looked at him and I just stared at him. I was like, you're Sam Rockwell. And he's an interesting one because a lot of people would be like, who the fuck's Sam Rockwell? Because he's not that well known. But I don't know why he came to me like immediately in that moment. I know exactly who you are.
And then you must have experienced the same thing on the weekend circuit you had. A few people staring at you.
Yeah, a lot of staring.
Yeah.
A lot of staring.
What
A
else
lot
do
of
you get?
lot of yelling at boys at me from across the way.
Do they come over and chat afterwards, or it's just like,
No.
oh, there's you go, boys?
No one came over and chatted.
Yeah, why would you do that?
It's just people yelling out at you from
What do you
across
think
the
that
way.
means? Do you think it means that's just where you are with people, or do you think it is indicative of a greater societal malaise around being able to speak to people in public? It's like, oh, look, I like it. I know he goes. I want to fucking have a beer with him.
Yeah, probably that. Yeah. Probably that, yeah. Yeah. He's that guy from The Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably that one. Also saw Dr. Carl Kennedy from Neighbours.
Mate, Sam Rockwell.
Same night, same restaurant.
Alan Richardson, I think is his name.
Alan Richardson. Alan something.
I mean, what about being Dr. Carl in Melbourne for the last 30 years?
Chop
and
City.
Mate, unbelievable. Talk about workbench stuff.
He was there with his wife, to be fair. I presume it was his wife.
He used to play gigs, I think. He used to play like...
Doing what? Just doing reads?
He'd
Doing
go
table
and play
reads?
gigs at venues that were frequented by a lot of British hostel people, like British people who
Yeah,
come over and be in the hostels, and he'd go and
nice.
play gigs. You go to the Neighbours tour.
Oh, fuck yeah. What a life that is.
In 2001, the British and Irish Lions came over here to play rugby.
Yeah.
And they released such a sick documentary about it.
Yeah.
And I remember Austin Healy's on it.
Yeah.
I watch the video so often.
Yeah.
And they did a tour of the Neighbours set. And I remember Austin Healy go, the only reasons I came was to see Lou and Toadfish. He's also Sean Connery. You get all them on your custom masks, smugglers, and you get free design, which is normally 50 quid, $100, if you use the code CHAMP. Support Australian-owned, Australian-made, budgiesmuggler.com.au.
They're shipping all over the world, budgiesmuggler.com.au. Here he is. Here's the great man. Here's James Vince.
Okay, this man is closing in. Well, he's not closing in. He's past it. My notes were already out of date. 10,000 first-class runs at a tick below 40 apiece. Well, let's just call it 40. He's much coveted in T20 legs. He has 36 centuries in professional cricket and already given us plenty of memories in Australia, most lately in the BBL, which we'll talk about in this interview, among many other things. James Vince, welcome to The Grey Cricketer.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
James, it's 8:15 a.m. when we go to air. You've just woken up. It's a little bit later here as well, but let's just crack right into it. I mean, what is your relationship to club cricket?
Club cricket over here?
Yeah, I guess so.
I've not played for a little while, actually. Probably the last time I played club cricket would have been grade cricket in Perth, I reckon, about 12 years ago, 13 years ago maybe. Yeah, I miss the villageness of it, I guess. Some of the stuff over here, the beer at lunch. Looking forward to getting back into that sort of setup in a few years' time when I'm done.
How does Perth grade cricket go for you guys? Because we spoke to Ian Bell a couple of weeks ago. He played grade cricket there. Dom Sibley has played some grade cricket over there. I mean, what were your experiences over in Perth playing grade cricket?
To be honest, my memory's bad, so I can't actually remember it too well. But I was, I think, 16 when I first went over, and it sounded like a great idea, go to Perth, play a bit of cricket on the weekend, train in the week. And when I got there, I realised I was playing, I think, under 17s in the morning and then going to play third grade cricket in the afternoon. So it was like a 6 a.m. start and then finish in the 3rd or 4th grade, whatever it was at the start, at 7 or 8 p.m. So I kind of regretted it when I got there a bit. But the Hampshire coach at the time, Paul Terry, was in Perth and, thought it'd be a good idea. So I didn't say much, and then scored a few runs and got put in the second grade or 1st grade, which meant I didn't have to play in the morning because it actually started earlier. So it was an interesting start. Also off the pitch, sort of, I was 16, so I started to find out a few things and enjoy myself. And it was a pretty good trip in the end.
Like Aussies and you would get this all the time, like Aussies love to feel like English people coming over here to play grade cricket get this great culture shock, of getting over the desert into the hot sun among, big burly men.
Yeah.
Is it just not like that at all, and we're all just sort of cucks and not that good?
Well, I think the impression I got was everyone sort of thought grade cricket is the same standard as county cricket over here. And your state cricket's kind of like, I don't know, a new sort of bracket in between international cricket and
that's right,
and grade cricket.
Yeah,
so that was interesting. But to be fair, I can see there are some people playing county cricket that wouldn't do that well in Australia, but it's just it's conditions based and stuff. But no, it was entertaining. I was shocked as well, turning up and realised that you had to bring your own lunch or go somewhere and buy some lunch. So, I enjoyed it. It was
it sounds like
it sounds like a great time, yeah. I love that there's a club out there in Perth that like, fuck, we picked James Vince in 3rd grade.
Yeah. Start him in threes.
Start him in threes. Are you, I believe anyway, you were in the Reading Football Academy. So you must have just been absolutely just loving those warm-ups before a game, just playing a bit of soccer, just dominating one-touch football. Were you taking that more seriously than the games?
Yeah, I've always taken the football warm-up more seriously than the cricket, to be honest. We're not playing it at the minute because we've had a few guys with chocolate knees go over or break some ankles and stuff. So I've always insisted the guys that get injured would be getting injured anyway. But no, we've one too many injuries on the football front. So for now, we're not playing. But even a few winters ago, I managed to play some five-a-side and stuff. I still probably enjoy playing football more than cricket.
Yeah, I know that feeling. Yeah, there's a similar thing in Australia where, we're not from one of these states, but cricket's basically the second option for sport for guys who are in the national side. They all want to be Aussie rules players. Where would you rank in terms of the football skill of current England cricketers? You're in the Reading Academy. Would you have Bilbo covered kind of thing? Are you up the top? Are you the best footballer of England cricketers? Is what I'm asking.
I can say I'm better than Bilbo, but he's one of those players. Looks sort of very good. Likes to put a few tricks in there, but his end product is hopeless. So he's we used to play 3-touch, and he'd have 2 touches without even looking up. So he'd be buggered by his 3rd touch. So good mover and look very good, but in terms of getting the job done, not great. So definitely better than him. I don't know. I don't want to say whether I think I'm the best or not, but
that's an answer.
That's an answer.
Yeah,
Enough said. Jay, we can keep focusing on the cricket that you've played in Australia, James. And I'll just go straight to the final of the Big Bash this year. You hit 95 off 60 rocks, man of the match. I don't really care about that. It's what happens afterwards. And, Dan Christian just taking charge of the circuit there, getting the boys to go straight into the Harbour Bridge. You're in full magenta kit. There's a photo on his story. You're having a nice Merlot, I think, when the sun's coming up. Can you talk us through the celebrations?
And also the boys said that they were disappointed you didn't hang around. So just reply to that as well.
Yeah.
I can talk you through the first part. I don't remember too much of being down by the bridge until pictures emerged. But we finished up. We do not fines, but sort of a mini fines where we sing a few songs and stuff, which I try and have an input on with my football chants with a few new words. That's sort of not that we needed getting revved up that night. But getting a few quick beers down, you always, gets the spirit and gets the mood up. So I think we were in the dressing room and then a couple on the outfield. Back to the hotel. We were still meant to be in sort of COVID restrictions because a few guys might have been flying to New Zealand, I think, who were staying in the hotel.
Oh, yeah.
So we were back in the team room. I think the replay of the game was actually on, and then it starts getting fairly blurry at this point. But he was keen to get down to the bridge for a few photos of the sun coming up. So I think 6 or 7 of us followed him down there with any drink that we could find left over.
Yeah.
Down there for a little while, and then the sun was up. I think we tried to find somewhere with breakfast that would serve alcohol.
Yeah.
And we were struggling. So I think Carlos Brathwaite had a bottle of whiskey actually.
Yeah. Yep.
So we went and got some breakfast, took his whiskey, and just put a little bit in the coffee just to keep us going. And then eventually called stumps, I think around 7 or 8
Wednesday
in the morning. Quick kip, and then a couple of hours, packed my bags, and then met the guys at where was it? Clovelly Hotel, I think it was.
Yeah, beautiful spot.
Yeah, lovely spot for a few hours before heading to the airport. So I was would have been great to stay another day. So I do hold my hand up there after winning something. Should have probably tried to hang on another 24 hours, but the missus and the kids are at home, so 2.5, 3 months away, another 24 hours on the piss probably wouldn't have gone down too well.
Love this. You seem to have decent success over here, James. Like you play the bouncy pitches really well. And one of those times was in the game before the final, the BBL semi. You're 99 not out, great knock, 1 to win. AJ Ty bowls are wide. I know you've had questions about it. But then he apologised, I noticed. So I just guess my question was, like, are you happy to see Australia's culture review, like, so obviously bearing fruit that he apologised?
Yep.
I clearly didn't mean it. He looked absolutely gutted when he was apologising, didn't he? So, he's probably still keeping him up at night now, I would have thought. But, no, it was, to be honest, I'm not normally fussed about stuff like that. And a couple of minutes after I wasn't, but it was only the crowd started getting quite loud when Hughesy was blocking a few. So I then walked down and said, actually, maybe don't try and hit a run just so I can have a crack at it. So I went from not caring and telling him to, just get the job done to, no, actually, I quite fancy this. And then see one balloon over my head like that. It was a bit annoying at the time.
It just gets a bit dewy.
Yeah, a bit dewy, the SCG, especially at night.
No one means to do that.
That's right. Hey, at least you apologise. I wonder what your recollections, James, of the 2017 Ashes are out here, because you started that so well. You scored 83 at the Gabba, then 55 at Adelaide after that.
Wacker.
At the Wacker. But then, like, that sort of is, I suppose, a little bit memorable for, like, stuff off the field for the England camp, like the Bairstow headbutt thing or whatever. Then Duckett pouring a beer over Anderson, whatever. Like, what are your like memories of what's your sort of main takeaway from the 2017 Ashes?
You summed it up pretty well there. They were kind of they were almost the highlights. We got absolutely pumped.
Yeah.
It was good but bad. I mean, it's to play in an Ashes series is pretty cool, but to be beaten as badly as we were isn't so cool. So
sure.
A few moments in there. The start obviously was a pretty good day because we hadn't lost a test at that stage and it was day one. So there was still belief and everything that we didn't know what was going to happen, but. It's long, and once the series is gone at where was it, Perth? Then the last 2 games, it's not hard. Well, it's a bit hard. People sort of, you still got something to play for. You're playing for England in an Ashes series, but I don't know. I always find it tough when you're out of the series. Mm-hmm. Although you are representing your country, I'm not saying it's, you didn't give a balls what happened, but just becomes sort of longer and longer. And when you can't win the series, it did, become tough the last few games. But it's a long trip as well. But that was good. But obviously results dictate kind of the overall feeling.
Sure.
Well, it was hard for the England guys to put big innings together over there as well. Was it Johnny was the only one who scored 100? Weren't many big scores. I can only imagine it's because it probably got harder to bat as the day went on. It's just was the old ball hard to face? Was it just doing a lot more than you used to doing? You know what I mean? Just a bit,
just through the air a bit,
through the as it went on.
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny. There must have been a weird batch of Kookaburra balls there. I know with the Dukes here they can vary a bit. So, what really interesting was at Perth when it was actually pretty wet and there was a wet patch on the wicket, but that ball just seemed to be, I don't know, just going around corners. Good skill to get it going like that, especially in wet conditions. So fair play to them.
Just got to get your wrist behind the ball. That's the main skill of it.
Out here,
out here especially. That's how you do it. Hey, in the 2019 World Cup, I'd imagine would that be a career highlight being part of that squad? 2019 World Cup at home.
Sorry, get your wrist behind it. Got me there. That was a good 6 weeks or whatever it was.
I know you played like 3 games in that tournament, and you sort of drafted in late, but like that wouldn't stop you from surely just massive celebrations afterwards. Are you getting around the boys? Are you wearing full kit in the Lord's sheds there and high vis, getting drinks for the boys? Like what's your role in that circuit?
Yeah, pretty much that. We were back at the hotel with friends and family at probably around, I don't know, 2:00 maybe. We were in the dressing room for a while. So
nice,
yeah. The next morning, I think I saw a picture of myself. We had to go to the Oval, and there's a load of kids and stuff in the outfield, and Morgs and the guys were carrying the trophy around and stuff. And there was a picture, and my face was virtually green, like that emoji you get on your phone. I didn't pull up well at all, so that was a tough morning, and then managed to find a bit more juice in the afternoon. Had a few more, and I think went to the Prime Minister's house that evening, which was quite entertaining because everyone was sort of drunk again, and it's just quite. I think Theresa May actually went like the following day or two, so whether that had an impact on it, I'm not sure. But it was pretty special night, couple of days. Like I say, I didn't really play a huge role in it, but not much of a role at all, to be honest. But it was pretty cool being sort of within the group.
Yeah. Sure.
The good news for you, James, is like, as we go to air, this might air a couple of days after you're about to play against Leicestershire. You've scored 412 runs in county cricket at 45 this summer for Hampshire. You've hit a double ton and 250s to your name. So the bad news is that means you must now respond to questions about a national recall that you can't possibly answer and don't really have any control over. So what's that like?
What's what like? Sorry.
Just getting questions about how you get back into the side and selectors when you literally can't do anything about that.
Yeah, I think everyone's name tends to come up, doesn't it? It literally takes one score and then your name's back in the fold. Well, with a few people anyway. I don't know if I'm overly close. So I think I might be one of the reserves for this series coming up, but then there's a number of players missing. So I'm pretty relaxed about it. In the past, I used to think about it a fair bit and really strive for it and probably overthink it and all that sort of stuff. So enjoyed my cricket the last few years. I think, particularly the opportunities I've had in the winter to be at the Sixers for a few years and to go back to the same club is something, pretty cool, and good group of guys, great franchise. So it's, I'm kind of happy if I can keep doing that for a few more years and playing my stuff at Hampshire. And then if something with England comes up, then great. But I'm not going to really, worry about it too much.
Just in researching you and selection and stuff, like I saw a quote come up about your experience. The last time you got dropped with Ed Smith, you said it was literally the night of the Somerset game. I finished on 200 something not out. Ed just phoned me and said I needed to make more big scores in red ball cricket. Sorry. And you said I don't feel like timing was great for me. But the serious question is it must be so frustrating to know that sometimes it seems so often about something different to runs, like getting selected. It's like, it's how you look doing it, or what can. It's not just if I do X and score runs, I will get in the side. It's like, nah, you've got the runs, but it's not this kind of runs or whatever. Obviously, you've kind of answered it by saying you just try not to worry about it anymore. But do you have any sense of what selectors want, or women?
No, I don't think Ed really knew, to be honest. I think he maybe had an idea before and was maybe watching the scorecard thinking, oh, geez, please get out so this conversation's a bit easier. He's not in the role anymore, so we'll have to see if that changes anything. But I think it was actually after that Ashes series, we went to New Zealand. I didn't play the first test and then got some runs in the second one and then came back, and was actually quite upbeat about the chances of being selected, so which I'm normally more on the pessimistic side. So that one I didn't quite understand, but like you say, never quite sure what's going on behind the scenes. So now that it's a different system, we see if a few more runs I might get my way back in there. But like I say, I'll just see if that happens rather than stress too much over it.
And now Ed Smith's the head of selectors at Hampshire, which is good news.
I've not heard, but well, maybe not.
no, maybe not.
Well, it's just finally, James, just to kind of get it out of the way, your cover drive is a sensual delight. It's a double-edged sword because it's a stylist curse, everything looks easy.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say I think you look really good, and Australia appreciates that. No question attached to it. Nothing about getting out. I just want to comment that you look great, and thanks for making life better when you hit balls. Thoughts?
Well, lovely. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Can't really add much to that.
James Vince, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
He goes, last time we talked about Manscaped, I let you know that I hadn't scaped for a while. Well, that's
Did
changed.
You say that?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
That's changed.
Good.
I've scaped and I feel good.
Good.
Frankly. That's a basic thing I want to say about this product.
Top level.
I put it in the shower. There's actually a little light on the lawnmower that you get over the areas that you need to trim.
That's right.
That light's very helpful. It's not helpful when you look at yourself in the mirror because there's a reflection of that light and it actually ends up, I don't know how to really describe it, but actually ends up making it difficult to see where you are trimming. So this is a balanced ad. But when you're trimming downstairs, no mirror, you're just looking at yourself, the light's really helpful.
Are you saying you're using it on your face?
No, I have two. Okay, by the way, just in case people wondering that I'm using my Manscaped and my balls on my face, no, I have two.
Yeah.
Sent two.
Got it.
Right, relax.
Got it.
Everybody.
Okay, I was confused by that.
Fair enough. That's a fair enough question. I didn't clarify it. But light's good. I skate myself. As they say in the copy here, when you trim the hedges, the tree stands taller. Okay, sure. And all in all, again, remain happy with the Manscaped product. And I suppose now I'm looking to you for your update.
My update is that, I didn't have any sort of lean periods not using the product. Mine's
You're
the same.
quite a consistent user.
Relatively, yeah. Yeah. Especially getting out on the circuit in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Fucking weird thing to say.
Noise?
I don't know, yeah. Excuming of hair and air. Anyway, lives in the shower, great gear, game changer. I've said it many times in the past. Look good, play good, feel good.
You get the perfect package 3.0, he goes, you get the lawnmower, which is the actual trimmer, right? And that's the main thing you want. But there's all this other shit they give you as well. Yeah, and I used it the other day just for fun.
Yeah.
There's a thing called the crop preserver. It's a ball deodorant.
No, I haven't used
and it's
that.
not like spray.
Yeah.
So chill.
Yeah, it's like year 9.
There is a spray, actually.
It's not like year 9 where you put like Lynx Africa on your balls.
Well, here's the thing. I saw
because all the house party.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In year 9, I thought Lynx Africa smelt better than Lynx Java. I mean, upon reflection, both of them are garbage. But
now, if you walked in here and I smelt Lynx Africa on you, I'd have so many questions. Where'd you get it from? Do you have any left? Can I have some? Those three off the top of my head.
Are you Billy Madison? Are you going through school every grade in 2 weeks and you're currently in year 9?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That Miss Veronica Vaughan.
So this crop preserver, I used it because I got all this stuff in my drawer, and I actually used it before I smelt it. But thankfully, after I smelt it, I didn't. My worry was that I would smell like I was in year 9.
Oh yeah, okay.
But I didn't. It's a classier aroma.
Good.
Than Lynx Africa.
Good. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So subtle.
It's a small. It's no, it's not subtle.
Hint of oak.
I'd say it's. I don't know. I don't know how to describe stuff like that. I want to.
It smells like a man's penis.
A nice smelling penis or balls. I didn't put it on my penis. I don't. Now I'm uncomfortable. There's also a spray-on testy toner that's designed to make your balls smell irresistible.
Testy toner.
Look, if that all appeals. Oh, you get a travel bag as well. You've seen my travel bag. You call it a wash bag. I don't, toiletry bag. It's pretty. I mean, the
presented nicely.
Bag's presentable.
It's good gear. It's good gear.
Yeah, it's good gear.
Yep.
You can get that's the perfect package 3.0. You can get 20% off that plus free shipping if you use the code TGC at manscaped.com.
That's a fucking good deal. 20%
Mate, 20% off.
Free shipping.
Shave it up.
20%
Everyone
off.
needs one.
See you later.
Okay. Is that ad good? We'll see. We have to send it to him. G'day, Kyle.
It's manscaped.com. All right, Pez. Hashtag AskTGC. Great to have Izzy on. Great to have James Vince on the show this week.
I really enjoyed James Vince.
And we apologise for James not being on last week like we said he was going to be. I think I put an insert in last week, didn't I? Yeah. His schedule changed last minute. Anyway, he's on this week and it was good. I'm glad we waited. For him. It was good. Good gear. All right, Paddy Kappa writes in. Boys! Hope you're both well. I know you boys hate long essays, but this needs a bit of backlog and hopefully it'll be worth it. So here goes. I'm from the UK and my parents split when I was young, and now my father, who I admire endlessly, lives in Sydney, Australia. Long way to go for milking some ciggies, Dad. And I visit him and my half-brother and his new wife every couple of years. No dramas. However, last time I travelled out, I had a nightmare. After landing in Sydney midnight the night before and proceeding to wake up after 3 or 4 hours of hot, sweaty sleep, I had to fill in for my dad's club team. It was the shittest standard full of middle-aged blokes who 100% view themselves as alphas, but all-round good blokes. So being a pom with ginger hair and pasty pale skin, I was given the gloves after Skip wins the toss, walks back and side mouths, good toss to win, boys? Despite us playing on an AstroTurf wicket.
Yeah.
That's bad gear.
Yeah.
40 overs later, I was as good as dead after being vigorously assaulted by the sun. It's now mid-afternoon.
We laughed too much at that, didn't we? It's just quickly like when an English person gets sunburnt, Australians sort of have a disproportionately joyous response to that. Oh, yeah.
Well, as someone who is, there's been no evolution between when the English people come out here and now we are all English.
Yeah.
And I am very white and pale. I understand.
Me too.
Also, both my siblings have red hair.
The sun out here hurts my skin.
We're not supposed to be out here.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. We're not ready for it. Anyway, yeah, sounds grim, Paddy. It's now mid-afternoon and I'm half asleep due to the lack of sleep, jet lag, and once again being a victim to the mighty sunstroke. That
was a mighty sunstroke today.
My father has put me forward to bat at 3, and within 4 overs, I've walked past one of our openers who was muttering, should have watched the fucking ball, after trying to slog sweep the opening quick over cow. Quick in inverted commas. I take my guard whilst being called a dickhead by the opposition keeper for trying to scratch my guard into an Astro pitch. Not a good start. Fucking hell.
Mate, just anyone swearing at somebody while you're playing on Astro?
Yeah.
What do you think it is?
Oh, someone's marking his guard, dickhead.
And you can mark a guard on Astro.
Yeah, of course you
Like,
can.
You can make a little line with it.
Yeah.
Getting angry.
I get off the mark after nicking off through the gully region after an incredibly outlandish cover drive of my first ball. An incredibly outlandish cover drive of my first ball.
English.
Fucking dickhead.
Don't like anyone.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I understand the keeper's disposition now. My next 2 balls is where the nightmare begins. I miss another booming drive and my feet are all over the place. Next thing I know, the ball whizzes past me and there's a big, oh, from behind the stumps.
The next thing he knows.
Yeah.
Looks like he's fucking blacked out.
He's just come to.
Yeah, it comes off. The ball's going past me.
The keeper's
now.
having an orgasm behind him. Oh! I am miles out of my crease and have almost been stumped despite the keeper standing at least 5 meters behind the stumps. Bloke at the other end comes down, starts swearing at me and tells me, switch on, champ. Fucking hell. Could this get any worse? You know when you're wicket-keeping in an Astro game, in lower grade stuff, you see it and the keeper's in a very awkward distance back
Neither
from the
back
stuff.
nor forward.
Neither back nor forward.
No man's land.
No man's
not
land.
volleying, not at the baseline.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly. Very uncomfortable. That's when you know it's shit.
Exactly. Why are you there? Why there? If you're standing there, clearly it's probably slow enough that if you were any good, you'd be up to the stumps.
Exactly.
So you're confirming that you're shit.
Yeah, exactly. And you're definitely wearing black shoes.
Your shirt's out.
You're wearing a Greg Chappell hat.
Short sleeve.
Short sleeve.
Yeah. And when you underarm the ball to somebody, you do it with a really wide palm. You don't actually just curve it a little bit. You know, really good keepers when they you can tell by the way they underarm the ball. Yeah, they flick it.
Yeah. Not with a fucking pan hand.
When we talk about that flick, by the way.
Yeah.
I just saw you flick it and it looked like you were imparting a sort of an off break to it. But I
Only
feel
from
like
the position I'm sitting in.
From you sitting it. Because when I watch really good keepers underarming the ball, and I'm sure you did this as well as a keeper, it's more of a leg break action you're putting on it when you're flicking it to someone, right? Or is it straight?
No, I always did straight.
Overspin? Just overspin?
Yep.
It's more like it comes out of the top, the first 2 fingers rather than all
It is.
4, right?
It is first 2 fingers,
Because if you're starting to get real flappy there and you're seeing a lot of surface area of the glove,
Yeah. See you later.
you're not playing you're playing Astro.
Yeah, if you're not first, you're last. And you are last in that example.
Yeah, and you're ostracised socially and economically.
Are you going to move to Inzamam Street? Now, Paddy's Care says, could this get any worse? Yes, it could. Next ball, carbon fucking copy. But this time, the balls make contact with the stumps, bails dislodge, and I have just been stumped/run out. I don't know. there wasn't even any celebratory yeahs and come-ons, just laughter. A bit like Rishab does when it's absolutely salmon. I trudge off, head down, tail between my legs, only to look up to see my father, arms crossed, shaking his head and muttering what could only be a form of abuse under his breath. The next 2 weeks of stay were just filled with abuse and laughter from my father and 13-year-old half-brother. This was over a year ago, and I still think about it every day. How do I deal with the trauma from a personal point of view, and how do I deal with the inevitable abuse I will get next time it comes up in conversation with either my father or my brother? It is unavoidable. Do I just never play cricket again, change my identity, and live in a cabin in the middle of the woods? Help me, please. #AskTGC. Fair question.
Read that last line.
Unnecessary.
Nah, please.
P.S. He goes, unreal salad. Sorry, Pez X.
Well, Paddy, actually, reading this, I actually had quite a lot of sympathy for you. And maybe that's not what you wanted, because that's really condescending towards you as well. But I'm just not sure about the tone of that final comment. But to be clear, he goes, I love your salad. I love your salad.
Thanks.
And I live vicariously through it. I live vicariously through your weekend and your circuit. My baldness was genetic fate.
Yeah.
Or overuse of shampoo.
Yeah, okay. That's a niche one.
I went to Ashley and Martin. I've said this before.
Yeah.
The guy held up a mirror and said I had a horseshoe head. And I refused to pay $80 a week for various snake oils and shampoos.
For the rest of your life.
Okay?
Yeah.
To regrow my already insipid, lifeless hair that hung dead on my head.
The ad's lying to you.
I'm very pleased for Higgins and anybody who enjoys a good, strong salad. Please don't tell me I look better without hair. I don't. Pretty much everyone looks better with hair. Except maybe Wendell Saylor. And a couple of other big dogs.
What a reference. What about Jason Statham?
I bet he looks better with hair.
Yeah, now, I reckon Bruce Willis with a salad would look pretty good.
Oh, mate.
Jason Statham, though.
Bald people are lying.
What about Kelly Slater?
you know, he looks fucking amazing. He's Kelly Slater.
Yeah,
but
he's Kelly
like,
Slater,
but
yeah.
like,
Kelly
I
Slater's
do
fun.
struggle with guys who can really grow hair quite well. Like say in rugby league, David Clemmer.
Right, okay.
And they're just bald the entire time.
Yeah.
And listen, I was going to say, look, if you can grow hair and you're choosing to be bald, fuck you. Now, Paddy. No, do what you want if you got hair, man. You got it. It's good shit.
Yeah.
Paddy, I'm just not sure about. I feel sorry for Paddy here. His
Yeah.
dad's over the other side of the world. He travels over to see his dad. I hope his dad comes over to see him.
Yeah.
Starters.
Yeah.
And he Paddy, it appears, has issues of blacking out while he's playing. Next thing he
that
knows,
does an issue, yeah.
he's blacked out. He doesn't even know how he's out.
Yeah.
So he's actually got problems with, I don't know if it's narcolepsy or something. And despite this,
Got some short-term memory loss. What he's got.
Despite this, this medical, this medical issue that he's got, he still answered the call for his dad putting him at 3. Clearly can't play. He's getting out stumped to blokes who are bowling and the keeper's 5 meters back.
5 meters back.
He doesn't know how he's out.
Yeah.
He's waddled out of his crease.
Mate,
like Paddy can't hold a bat, obviously, but he's doing these things to bond with his dad, and all his dad's doing is abusing him.
Yeah.
You know, I think your dad's got to have. I don't know. Maybe I've got this wrong. You know, it sounds to me like Paddy wants the kind of the larrikin relationship with his dad. Maybe his dad's got to fucking step up a little bit.
It seems like his dad cares about this too much, and he's not being that supportive. Because it seems like his dad really wanted him to be part of this winning culture, the winning team. Because his dad is really bought into being disappointed with his son's performance. He's put him at 3.
Maybe his dad should buy into being part of his life. How about that, Dad?
Maybe fucking pay for your son's narcolepsy treatment.
Any danger of some fucking
some meds?
A couple of sheets.
A couple of sheets for some meds?
Exactly. Because he's trying to presumably his dad's English. His dad's living in Australia now. Wife, half-brother, etc.
Yeah.
And he's trying to out-Aussie him. You know, he's just trying to, I'm fucking Aussie now.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to out-Aussie him, ask him for a couple sheets to pay for, we don't have fucking that much socialised medicine over here.
No.
Any danger of some narcolepsy fucking tabs championship? Narcolepsy tabs. Dad, can you stop making me play cricket? I've got narcolepsy.
I don't remember shit. I'm getting sunstroke.
Trivialise the affliction because it is tough. But I've got a mate actually whose missus has got narcolepsy, and it's actually her learning about her diagnosis actually was very helpful for their relationship because early on they used to go on dates and she'd regularly fall asleep. He's like, "Fuck, hell, that's rude."
Any danger?
Yeah. Anyway, there's treatment.
Yeah.
So Paddy's got narcolepsy and his dad needs to step up in that department.
Couple of sheets for some tabs, for some narcolepsy tabs.
Just say sheets to him.
Yeah. Couple of sheets,
Any
Pat.
danger?
Hey,
Any
Pop.
Sheets? Pop.
I think that'll just about do Pez this week. Very good. Thank you so much to James Vince for joining us last week, or this week. Thank you very much for Izzy for making the time. Thank you so much for joining us right here on the Great Cricket Podcast. We'll be back on YouTube all during the week. We'll be back right here on Spotify and iTunes and wherever you get your audio means and stimulation through your ears next week. We'll see you guys then.